as everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. I am Fisher, your host, featuring Chris McCarty. Welcome to the Wake.Show on this wonderful Tuesday. Trivia Tuesday.
My bad,
welcome, man. How are you, sir?
Well, how are you, sir?
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of things before we move on with the show today. First, we'd like to welcome in our sponsor for the first 15 minutes, and that is Single Source Insurance. Thank you so much, Single Source Insurance, for being a part of the Wake.Show. Make sure you give them a call for a free quote if you are sick and tired of dealing with the so-called big boys, and it seems like they may even give you better rates. Please know that on the back end, when you need them, it sometimes can be very difficult. That's why you want to go with Single Source Insurance, SingleSourceINS.com. Also, it is the return, for those of you who've been watching since the beginning, the return of Sidebar. Woohoo! Ladies and gentlemen, Sidebar is back. As you can see, it says, hi, this is Sidebar. And I hope you are having a wonderful day. I don't know what I'm going to do with Sidebar yet, but as you can see, we have changed the studio just a little bit. So, Mr. McCarty is no longer directly behind me, and we'll be starting off the show on the stool to play a song. Go right ahead, sir.
This goes out to people who are having to change your relationships. The song's called Everything. Woo. Why won't you just let me go? Why won't you set me free? Some things that we'll never know until we finally see. Always had to scream and shout, you never could sit still. Always had to pitch and moan as if it were a skill about everything. Cause you wanted everything, and you needed everything. How can we be lovers if we can't even be friends? You think we're still in love, I just can't pretend. Hard to live with or without you, there's no right way to choose. Where my destiny is heading, it seems I'm about to lose everything. Cause you wanted everything, and you needed everything. You wanted just to leave, but you can't take everything from me. Everything, You think I can live without you? You must have me wrong with somebody else. Cause I'm gonna get it on, nothing really mattered. All that really mattered, wanted you to say everything. Cause you wanted everything, and you needed everything. You wanted just to leave, but you can't take everything from me. Everything, everything.
Chris McCarty, ladies and gentlemen. You can track down Chris McCarty at chrismccarty.com, or is it Chris McCarty Music? I apologize for always messing that up too. Because I also, because I know back in the day. Oh, by the way, hi Sidebar, welcome back, Sidebar. Because the old going way back, the old issues with the old band, I always forget which where we go with it. Oh, I don't like Sidebar when you're there. Let's do that.
Men don't like it, Sidebar.
All right.
No, you guys can follow me on Facebook, of course. Chris McCarty Music, Facebook.com/Chris McCarty Music, MCCARTY. Website is chrismccarty.com, MCCARTY.
I'm loving the shot,
Twitter,
man.
like it?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Whoops.
Let's give each other 5. Wait,
there we go. Wait.
Hey,
he was close.
We'll figure that out. We got time.
All right. So I've done a little I haven't even showed chords yet. If you're sitting there watching your phone, I've added in some new effects. So anyway, welcome to the Wake.Show. Good morning, everybody. Very excited to have a guest come in today, and it's a photographer, so we'll be able to enjoy some beauty in the world as
She's awesome.
Yeah. Her name is Marilyn Bray from Rising Lotus Photography by Marilyn, and we'll be talking to her. Matter of fact, if you want to go ahead and sit down and get yourself situated, their chords
should we
will.
got the other chair for her, the one that's more.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine.
Okay,
be fine.
Right, cool.
And she's like, "Oh gosh, here we go." Hey, listen, if your camera is your your therapy
I need to bring it with me.
animal,
Yeah, it's like my guitar. I feel you right here all day. I feel
there you go. Because I want to make sure that we got you all set up there. I want to make sure that we're not upskirt or anything.
Right.
It's, professional.
Right.
There we go.
Must keep things professional nowadays,
Yeah, there we go. This. If we were the Howard Stern show, we would have done something different with the camera, I think. But all right, well, first of all, Chris, happy Tuesday, man. Welcome in.
Happy Tuesday, man. It's good to be here again.
All right, good to see you. What do you think of the new setup, the new set
I
here?
dig it, man. I like change. Change is great. A lot of people have a problem with change, but I think, at the end of the day, we love it when the seasons change. And so I like it. Seasons are changing.
All right.
Good.
And let's welcome in our guest, Marilyn. How are you doing, Marilyn?
Yay,
Can you just get that mic a little bit closer to her there, please, sir? Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we're going to introduce our guest, and then Chris and I are going to talk, because we got to talk about the biggest news coming out of yesterday, and this is we're living history as the United States of America officially. I mean, this is recognizing this dictator and bringing him up to the level of everybody else in the world. That makes a lot of people nervous, and of course. If you're against if you're not a fan of Trump, it's making you nervous and go and see this kind of we are now distancing ourselves from our allies and trying to get chummy with dictators, and this is just not who we are. How do you treat coming? This is not just yesterday too, but coming off the weekend of the GS. And by the way, Chris, I'm gonna make an assumption that you likely had more important things than following politics over the weekend.
I was with my kids.
All right, good. So let me catch you up, kind of an overview. And Nikki, do me a favor, okay? Nikki, if you feel like I'm starting to skew someplace and you think I'm not being fair to our president, by all means, we're all good here. Chime in.
Yeah, anybody chime in. This is what it's for.
Right.
Public.
All right. So coming off the weekend, we had the G7 summit. It used to be the G8 when Russia was a part of it. And Russia got kicked out a few years ago after they invaded Crimea, Croatia, shot down a passenger jet, civilian passenger jet. So they were out, right?
Yikes.
So it's been bothersome that we've been trying to buddy up to Putin. But one of the things in the back of my head is maybe this end-around game that Trump has in his head is going to play out in the end. I don't like to think that he is. I don't know, but we'll see. So Nikki, world peace would be nice. I'm with you.
Yes.
But what he did over the weekend was very interesting. He kept our allies who've been allies since the end of World War II, those liberal democracies around the world, England, Canada, France, Germany, and I think I'm missing one or two, Spain. But he
kept them what?
He kept them. He shunned them. He shunned them, and I guess in a term, because I know you like to talk in terms of respect and disrespect.
Right.
It was basically a very disrespectful weekend. And so coming out of that, going into Monday, we're like, okay, so here's my thought, Chris. Okay, so I'm trying to make sense of this stuff.
Okay.
I'm trying to make sense of this stuff.
Right.
And also I'm not in the category of going, oh, President Trump is the savior of America. I'm not in the category of President Trump's the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity.
Okay.
So I'm going, okay, maybe this is going to help his table image. Now I'm going to talk poker.
Okay.
This is going to help his table image as he goes to Singapore to meet with Kim Jong-un. So he's going to go make a stop in Canada first, piss them all off, and say, you've been unfair. I'm going to pose tariffs going into the meeting, and then coming out of it, talk about how the Canadian Prime Minister, their president, is meek and weak.
Ooh.
So this is what I'm hoping. Maybe this is just me being Pollyanna. Going,
Okay.
there's a bigger game here, and so
Right.
he's gonna. So as he turns his focus on to the summit last night, he'll have this. Holy crap! If he's willing to treat his allies like that, then God knows what he will do when he comes over here.
Okay.
So, Nikki, I want you to help me out here, because what I just laid out is really far-fetched. Far-fetched that somebody would purposely, I never know which one to use, would purposely put our relationships in jeopardy with the allies that, around the world that this is our family basically for the last 70 years.
Right.
Just to make that move is, if it is that is definitely borderline sociopath, which I know a lot of you feel like he might be.
Okay.
But I will say, Nikki, that I don't feel good today. How about that?
I just want to throw out to anyone who just joined us. My name's not Nikki. I know he keeps saying Nikki. I just want to make sure you guys know that he's not talking
Thank you,
about me.
Chris. Thank you. No, thank you very much. Because what I'm referring to is Nikki Cooper, and she is a wonderful, wonderful viewer. Hi, Uncle. And
let me chime in real quick.
Go ahead.
Man.
Go
let me
ahead.
chime in with all this. All right. So what I keep thinking as you're just discussing this, I feel like there are no accidents. And then I started thinking to myself, well, what if this is just how it's supposed to play out in its own weird way? Before you guys freak out or anyone kind of just, have an open mind. I mean, I never thought of it like that. For the most part, if you guys are just joining, you're new, I'm all about peace, love, and unity. That's just, it just feels right. So I also understand that.
But does not consider himself a hippie.
But I also consider life and things for growth. Sometimes you must deconstruct what you know in order to grow back, to make it bigger. To make your life, to go forward to evolution. So maybe in some ways, as uncomfortable as it may be, there's a deconstruction of how life has been, and this is what we're seeing. And then eventually, we'll all come back. As you said, world peace. Maybe this will be that move. Maybe this is going to be that initial spot where everyone's like, you know what, something's not right. We all need to come together. We just don't know. So things are going to play out the way it's going to play out. But I personally believe in love.
That love will win. That love will win the day.
Love, truth, and God, and then there's everything else. And so, at some point, I can't believe that the light would lose. I just don't believe it. So we're all in this together. We're all uncomfortable. Just try to hold tight, sit onto our seatbelts, and we'll be okay. That's the first thing that popped in my head. As we talk. So keep going about.
And there's not much more to say because you can turn on cable news to listen to the X's and O's because we don't really know a lot. It was just those two men in the room with their translators, which, man, to be in that room would be absolutely amazing. And then they're going to spin and control the conversation as they come out of those rooms. So we'll see what happens. But it doesn't. I'm nervous.
Well.
It doesn't sit well. It does not sit
well. I think the reason why it doesn't sit well is because we've seen, as time has gone by, it seems like we in America are more separated than we've not ever been, but we've been lately, as of late. And that pushes from what's happening. We're following the leader.
I love it. You're spelling out hope, and so I'm with you on that. I'm hoping that you're right, that at the end everything is going to be just fine. Which we know.
But the thing is, Bob said it, everything's going to be okay. 9/11 was horrible. We made it through. In history, things have been so horrible. We've made it through with the Holocaust. We've made it through. We've made it through with slavery. We've made it through. We've made it through. We always seem to be okay. So I know that this is scary to some degree, and it doesn't necessarily sit well and fit well. And sometimes you gotta, as I remember in Fight Club, you gotta break an egg to make an omelet. So maybe this is part of that. We're creating something new, and at the end, it'll all be okay, man. I just believe that. I do. I don't know why. You're
right. Fundamentally, you're right. Fundamentally,
we've always
you
been
are
okay.
All right. So Steve says, I'm excited about this meeting. By us taking the lead on this, and hopefully the allies will also surround this guy and be more of a big brother to him. Remember, this guy took over at 26. He needs some guidance. I think that is a sound. The only thing is that the way the world looks at this guy, is he is a tyrant that killed his uncle, murdered his uncle to gain power. So this is like old world stuff, right? So this is the stuff we were doing 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago.
Still happening today.
Right. But these are the things that the modern democracy, those who vote in their leaders, and listen, it's far from perfect, right? There's a lot of work to be done, but we all believe in the system. I think most of us here in the free world believe in that system. So what this is to our allies and the traditional thinking as we handle North Korea is that we don't give any person that we consider a murderous tyrant, because we put in the category more of a gangster than we do of a world leader that is on the level playing field or an even playing field as all the other leaders in the world, or at least the liberal democracies of the world. So we also know that people like who was it? I can't remember his name, but the guy that was running Eastern Europe right before that fell. And this is something I just heard yesterday, the day before. His like the number one thing on the top of his list was to be invited to the White House, because that would legitimize him and their ideals. So this is one of the things that we've been trying, or one of the strategies we've been using for decades now, is to do things that we can not to legitimize people like Kim Jong-un. And so but what happens out of that? I mean, I understand the strategy, and I respect it. But coming out of that, I'm going back to poker, Chris. I'm going back to poker on this one, because it's about table image sometimes.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden you come in and then you just go, let's do the exact opposite of what everybody was expecting you to do leading up to there. And if it's not one of those things that are immediately going to lead right to nuclear war, then you don't know how it's going to play out. And even though it's not the strategy we've been using when it comes to dealing with dictators for decades, to lure him out like that, get him out of his comfort zone there, could be a smart play. That is if...
we'll find out together.
You're right.
We're gonna find out together.
You're right.
It's the thing about speculating. I mean, we could do people. They live their lives speculating. Where's LeBron gonna go? I think he's gonna be in LA. He's gonna go to Houston. And we do that for months and months, and then we find out. Then the decision's made, and then we go, and then we go that route. I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to bring a level of calm to anyone who listens.
You're right. You're right.
Because this, I was listening. If you could find it. Will Smith was speaking on YouTube. He was talking about his experience of skydiving. It's amazing. I don't want to try to, but what he was saying was at the moment of his great fear was bliss. I mean, he was like, the whole time leading up to it, the night before, his breakfast and the drive there and getting in there, and then they push, and he was like, and then all of a sudden there was a moment where he was just like, this is amazingly beautiful. And so we could freak out all day long about something that may not necessarily be. And so
you're right.
So that's all I'm saying. And again, not to say you're wrong by having thoughts, but just remember that thoughts, and you can control your thoughts.
And you and I differ on that.
Did you not just change your thinking right then?
Maybe in the moment for a second.
All right, well, then go back to that.
But the thing is that you are right on that. I have no control over any of this that's going on. So no, I'm not going to go hide in my bedroom.
Right.
But,
live your life.
But also as somebody who loves the moment in history that I live in, right now, the present,
right,
and realize, and I do have a certain amount of awareness to understand just how amazing these times are.
I agree.
At the same time, when you see these, when I'm trying to justify or rationalize our president making enemies out of our friends. So I told you what I did. I went, okay, there's a bigger game here, and he's trying to have a certain image as he goes into Kim Jong-un. Okay. But the chances of me being right about that are pretty slim. So like I said, I'm a little nervous, because if he really is of the mentality that our allies are not our allies, our true allies are people like Putin and Kim Jong-un, then he's going to try to take the, but I can't worry then, because then our country will step in and stop that.
I say this, man, and I love referencing Bob Marley, because I think he was, one of our greatest messengers. Your best friend could be your enemy, and your enemy your best friend. I've had to let go of some friends that I thought were really, really true brotherly sisters 20 plus years, and I find out that their loyalty ran out before I thought my loyalty ran out. So I am not in any way suggesting that he is correct in thinking that our allies are not our allies. I am just saying the truth. We will find out. We'll find out just who really is loyal. I mean, I have friends. Don't you have friends that kind of go off on the deep end, and either you're a true friend and you stay by their side, or you're not a true friend and you bounce? Well, we're about to find out exactly what's going on, and I see nothing wrong with finding out the real truth.
I'm a flaky ass friend. I'm a flaky ass friend.
And I'm not. That's probably why I can say it, man. Like, you know, but I don't know. Well, like I said, man, at the end of the day, we're going to find out together, and when we find out together, we'll have another conversation, and just like LeBron, we'll find out where he's going, man.
All right. So let's, how about we read some of these comments then coming through? And we don't have to spend too much time going over and over and over what we've been talking about. But I know we are living history right now. We don't know exactly what happened last night, and this will play out over the coming months. But I know it's something that we needed to talk about today. So Steve Corbin, here we go. We'll start with him. I am excited about this. Okay, we already did that one. The people that didn't die made it through. Talking about the hard times, like, you know, we've made it through 9/11, we made it through slavery. Let
me say
yes,
this.
But if you go back to those times, those are people, and still to this day.
And I'll say this to you. What if death is really easy? Life is so hard. People are killing themselves. People are killing each other. People are depressed and anxious because life is so hard that I have to think that dying is probably easy. We definitely think, because we don't know about what happens afterwards, and I can understand that fear. I get it. I've thought it too, like, oh no, what happens? I just choose, right or wrong, but it just works for me. I just choose to think that we all go to heaven, and heaven is beautiful. All the stories you hear, the hundreds of stories of people who died and came back, and the bliss and the calm and everything, and just and I know this life, what scares me about dying is not fulfilling the dreams that came to me. That's what scares me about dying, like not really living it up. So now I'm just all about living. So when the time goes,
can I ask you something?
Of course, man.
Is this something that you would say to somebody on September 12th, 2001?
This is what I say. This is what I say to myself, trying to comfort myself with my own best friend dying. The day after I spoke to him for 31 minutes, and I was miserable for 7 months, crying every single day. Coping in ways that I probably weren't best for me, and so I'm not saying that grieving isn't real. I'm not saying that death isn't real. I mean, it's real. I felt it, so I'm not trying to act naive and, oh, death doesn't happen. I lived it very close. My guy, the closest person to me as me, gone. I won't see him again until I die.
Right.
So I'm saying I empathize. At the end of the day, at the end, what I keep coming back to is, you know what? Maybe living is really what I'm supposed to be doing. Live as hard as I can, do as much as I can, and not waste it, because it's gonna happen eventually.
Let's hit some of these comments here in the comment section, then bring in our guest, and we'll talk. We'll start showing some photography, some of her pictures, and get us all in a good, solid mood today.
So,
all right,
that's good.
So,
finish that comment though. You know.
All right, so Nikki, I can agree with how you're feeling as far as Canada goes. I heard the press of Canada agreed no tariffs, then after talking to Trump said changed my mind and ticked Trump off. We all know DT doesn't hold back with his rants. I personally don't like it. I'm hoping that it will turn around. As for meeting with Mr. Dictator, even though I'm still on the edge, I hope it's a change in the right direction. Let's hope he's sincere, hard to imagine, so nasty. I'm hoping, like Steve said, that it'll get others on the same page.
Outside of hoping, we can pray.
She goes on to say, yep, and thank you for how you address this. I respect your opinion and appreciate that you respect mine, even if we disagree. I love having these conversations. Let's see here. Oh, Brett posted the video you were talking about of Will Smith. If you guys there in the comment section want to click on it after the show is over today.
Yeah.
Goes on to say, unfortunately, as Americans, I don't think we will ever get the full story on anything.
True.
It's not only twisted by the media, but by what the government allows us to see as well.
Yes.
Only thing we can do is pray and hope for the best and treat others like we want to be treated.
And I said pray. Did I not say that?
Yep.
Prayer is the most powerful thing I believe that we can really do, and it's so underused and undervalued in some ways.
And Les Brown, Brett goes on to quote Les Brown, don't take your dreams to the grave.
Thank you.
And Kimber Moon, welcome to the show today. All right, with that, let's bring in our guest today, Marilyn. Sorry we put you on the sideline for so long. I didn't mean to go on for 30 minutes about the summit last night, but I knew it was something that we needed to talk about. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Very honored to be here, so thank you.
Well, that is very kind of you to say. And she is the owner of Rising Lotus Photography by Marilyn. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some of your stuff. Well, there we go. There's your Instagram. So wait, hold on. I didn't mean to zoom in like that. All right, I wasn't trying,
Chris.
I wasn't trying. Look. All right.
Gonna get some more viewers.
Well, that's your first one on Instagram that I see there. Let's see. Let's click on the comment then.
Server error.
Oh, of course. Of course, the universe isn't going to let me perv out today.
How long have you been doing this, may I ask?
I've been shooting and editing for almost 10 years now, and I've been working exclusively with weddings for about 5.
Nice.
Oh wow! Look at that.
So, is there a reason so much for the weddings? I mean, I'm sure I do weddings too, and it pays well. But are you into that whole love? Is it like what about weddings? Is it that really drew you to say exclusively?
I really, really dig working for 12 hours straight and carrying 60 pounds of equipment on my shoulders in 90-degree weather and just sweating the whole time without sitting or a bathroom break or food. That really is
just moves you.
It does. I would say it's really multifaceted. So for me, artistically, it's a challenge. Every 15 minutes, the light is changing, going outside to inside, different scenarios, and then it's about finding that magic light in the middle of the moments, in the middle of chaos, because there's so many different moving parts. We have the bride and groom's experience, which first and foremost is going to be the most important to me. I believe photography needs to be part of that joyful wedding day experience. Yes. And so being a part of that in such an integral role, because this is going to be their family legacy. Yeah. This is the beginning of their story together as a union.
Oh my gosh. What? I go to her page. That's one of my best friends on her front page there. That is one of my best friends.
That's awesome.
He better not have gotten married without me.
That's awesome.
Well, he photographs wonderful, and he did a great speech.
He is also one of the neatest people I've ever met in my entire life. I couldn't love him anymore. That is my dear friend Mark at a wedding there. Obviously giving a toast or something.
Yes. That was Ashra and Glenn's wedding back on March 31st.
She remembers the date.
Yeah.
You are something special, man. I thank you for pushing me. Now I got to start remembering the dates I play. But I know what you mean by that. That makes perfect sense. I have a lot of friends who've been married, and they do keep looking back at the pictures because it is just the memory of like, man, that magic moment. And so I love hearing you talk about this, obviously personal challenges like the lighting and how it changes, and don't even think like that, but now you're painting the picture. I'm impressed. It's good. What
are some of the shots now that we're talking about this, because Chris and I are both we're vendors now. We are wedding. I guess you are too.
Yay! Welcome to the industry. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And by the way, is this your special? Is this what you're known for, or is this like? I'm sorry, I was tinkering over here technology wise.
Oh, you're good.
You might have already answered this, but is this your passion? Weddings first, or do you do other things and weddings?
I eat, breathe, and live weddings.
Okay.
I think I spend probably 12 to 14 hours a day something wedding related, whether it's talking to brides or editing or doing my own research, seeing what is going on worldwide on an industry level. So
that's awesome. So how far have you traveled when it comes to different weddings? Like, what is the...
I've been to Rome. So that was probably the coolest.
Wow.
Yeah. So one of my couples got eloped, and they flew me out to Rome to do their newlywed portrait session. So I got to hang out with them and photograph them in front of all these historical monuments.
Oh my gosh. How long were you there for?
I was there for a week.
That is just, see the perks.
All right, so let me ask you about dog photos, because our dogs are very important in our wedding last year, and I know people ask all the time for this kind of stuff. Are you excited when they have a dog? You're like, oh my gosh, here we go. I'm going to have to get a Wrangler.
Yeah, it's their fur family. They're fur babies.
All right.
So I've had both dogs. I had one bride asked to photograph her cat that really didn't end up working out. But I thought that was adorable. And also horses. So those are our larger fur babies.
Wow.
Larger fur babies. Those are humongous fur babies. All right, so let's look at a couple more of your things here. It sounds like you're very excited when you're
I feel the passion. Yeah, passion. Absolutely. I see it.
I want to admit something right now. As somebody who is a wedding DJ himself, I enjoy it for multiple reasons, and one of them is because I do, as an adult, I did not appreciate this as a child, but I appreciate the day that this is a couple's day, and that she's been looking forward to this moment all of her life. Ooh. He's been dreading this moment all of his life. And but I look at it. I know this is going to sound so something, but I really do look at it like an honor. An honor, a privilege to DJ somebody's wedding. Now, people in my industry, other radio personalities, if you're a comic, if you're, sometimes look, oh, you're a wedding DJ? Like, there's a stigma that I absolutely love it. Chris, do you have that same feeling when you're doing somebody's wedding?
Yes and no.
Yes and no?
The no comes from and here's where I meet fear. I care so much about people and what they're doing in their day and respect their day that I get a little anxious about. I just don't want to mess anything up, because it's happened, and man, it's just it's a feeling I can't really shake that, because if it's my own show, like, I don't care, I'll be fine. But if it's something else, man, like if it's someone else's stuff, oh man, I just But yeah, I totally understand what you mean, and it's definitely an honor. There's an honor behind being involved in someone's day. I mean, for the rest of their life, you're linked to them for the rest of their life.
So is there an anxiety that goes along with it as well, that you don't get that shot that they asked for? Because I know we asked for some very specific shots.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you go back and you look at your stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, it's not there.
Well, and I think I worked very hard to be a master at my craft and to be one of the, I would say, top photographers in the Tampa Bay area. So I know exactly what shots are needed, how to capture those. If it's a particular challenging venue or multiple locations, I will bring my team with me. So I have an associate photographer and an assistant so that I do have backup in case something were to happen. I'm also very good technically. So I would say that fear and anxiety pretty much left about 3 years ago. And awesome. Now it's excitement, it's exuberance, it's joy, and something magical happens when I pick up a camera. I wish I could take credit for that, the emotion, the essence, the personalities that come through, but I really truly believe that my camera becomes a conduit and that God speaks through those moments.
I love
through it.
Chris, are you in heaven right now, buddy?
Come on. Oh, I love it.
Oh, that is so cool to hear. So you are a true artist then with your camera. That's exactly the way an artist would speak.
I just wish more people could speak with such boldness and honesty, and you make me want to just speak more honest about things. And sometimes that was just great. We got to rewind that. Make sure that whenever you do whatever you do with the Chris, and you're giving like the little snippet of the day, that is what I think people need to hear. That they need to hear that, because I'm on the record of saying that we all have special gifts and dreams that come to us in our own niche, and the more you just own it, the more you become that master, you say that, and I love that. It was great. You should speak. You should just speak.
All right. I'm with you, but this is my old radio self stepping in. Okay. I want people to experience what she's talking about when she says that, what you're talking about when you're playing music and you're like, it just flow. When I see other artists go, I can't explain it. I started down this and it just goes, right? However, when let's call them normal. No, let's not call them normal. When people who haven't experienced that in their lives see somebody talk like that, it's flowing, they go, oh, here we go again. Some hippie, the universe is flowing through them, da 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 da. So I want to be able to, with this show or over the years, our interactions with people, figure out ways to help them understand what that means, so that they have a different perspective on it. Does that make sense?
Or there's a lot of confidence. Some people mistake confidence. They think it's cocky or arrogant. No, that was 100% authentic. It was very real, and it was just confident for the hours that you spent on your craft. I mean, like, I've been playing the guitar for over 20 something years, and so I feel you when I grab that guitar. There's just something that it's just not normal. I have no fear, no anxiety when I get on the stage. I'm like, I'm home, let's ride. You know what I mean? So I just love, yes, that's just great.
All right, my wife has chimed in, She says her photos are beautiful. Roxy and Joey need some new headshots.
Oh, yay!
They're hiding under there.
Family photo session.
So, quick question. When, so you said 10 years. So what was the moment, what were you doing before doing photography? And then you knew, like, this is, we all had that story. I want to know your story.
Yeah. I was actually working at the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, and I was a sexual assault advocate and empowerment coordinator. So I was working with survivors of sexual assault, human trafficking, domestic violence, child abuse, and it was an amazing role, and I was definitely honored to do the work. It took its toll on my body.
Right.
So I started developing some physical signs of compassion fatigue. I'm very empathetic, and so it was difficult for me to step away from the work and to put it down. And there was a moment after an event. I was planning this event for about 9 months, and it's a very emotionally charged night where about 60 different nonprofits come together and help put on this. It's a 1,000-person event. And it was taking a lot of my emotional, mental, even physical faculties. And I wanted to give a gift to myself. And so I invested what at the time I thought was a very large amount of money into a camera upgrade. And it was something that I needed to do for my soul and have that creative outlet. And that's, I think, where it changed. And once I got that camera, I posted one photo of a pier. I took the Clearwater 60 pier. I posted that on Facebook, and within an hour, I was getting my first request for a shoe. And it was a photo of a pier.
Love it.
Of a sunset. It had nothing to do, but and it just I became obsessed with photography, with light, with learning more about lenses, about different ways to utilize light, how to find that magic, and it's never stopped.
That's just great.
That is awesome to hear.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Well, thank you for having me. You all are great and fun and energy, and thank you for having me.
All right.
Can't wait to see what you took of us.
Yay!
It'll be fun to see.
Oh, that's right. She snapped some photos while she's doing it too.
Yeah.
I can wait. You don't have enough touch-up time to make these chins go away.
No.
You don't need to make these. I earned these chins. I've earned them. So thank you so much. And if you want to track her down, you can do so on Facebook. And it's photography. It is Rising Lotus Photography by Marilyn. Also on Instagram as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Great guest. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Chris McCarty, how are you doing, sir?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Do you want to do another a sing-on or talk sports?
Let's see here. Oh, you want to talk some? Well, we got a couple of championships. I believe today there are. Is there a game?
Gators.
There's a Gainesville.
So we were in the College World Series. If you guys remember, the Florida Gators won the national championship last year in men's baseball, and of course, it's men's baseball, but in baseball, and they were playing Auburn. Auburn has the #1 pick for the major league. For the major league, the pitcher, he was the first pick. So it was us against Auburn, and Auburn's really good, and they split. So it's best of 3. And last night, this dude hit a walk-up. He's only hit 3 home runs all year. Bashes one. The guy in the outfield jumps to get it. It bounces off his glove, pops out. Home run. Florida's going to the World Series.
There you go.
Oh, man, it's so cool.
There's also a couple of parades today in America. One in, one in Washington. The Capitals have the parade today. I think I saw this morning. And on the opposite coast, who was it? The Clippers? No, Golden State Warriors just won. Or they won 3 out of 4 or something like that.
Yes, they have. Dynasty.
Man, I have fallen off of basketball.
Dynasty.
Why'd
you fall off?
What? I wake up and to see that the Golden State Warriors have won 3 out of the last 4.
Yeah, you're like,
huh? this isn't right.
Yeah, they were always pretty. But we'll see what happens next year, man. There's talk of Clay possibly leaving, and Klay Thompson, he's one of their sharpshooters, and of course we don't know where LeBron's going to go. Someone said today that his son committed to play at some high school in LA for you fans. So it might mean that LeBron ends up going to LA, which should be pretty cool because they have so much money that they can probably bring another another force with them. So if LeBron goes to the West, my guess is Boston Celtics, who are awesome, they're going to be the beasts of the East. So I would love that. So yeah, I know. That's fun.
All right. Well, let's read a comment here coming from Haley. Haley, right downstairs here. Because we were talking, this goes back to when we were talking about how she was explaining how she feels like when she's in the zone taking pictures, that it is God working through her. Mm-hmm. I've heard that a lot from artists over the years, musicians over the years. And, but it's hard to explain. I go back to the time period of my life, which was not too long ago, where I was a little bit more absolutist. I knew everything. I understood how the universe worked.
Right.
It was very simple, black and white. And so when I would hear people speak like that, then I would just be like, "Oh my gosh, shut up, hippie!" You know what I mean? So when I know that
someone else is thinking that, what you're thinking, what you're saying. You know that someone might be thinking that, but watching.
And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not as prevalent. Maybe, I'm projecting in that moment, but I do think it is prevalent out there. And Haley brings up a good point. She says, I think, or is this a good point? She goes, I think a lot of people don't experience that mastery of feeling because of fear of failure. It's terribly hard, but absolutely beautiful. That jumped out at me when I saw it because I see truth. I think there's truth in that.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Because in order to get to that place where the universe is working through you or God, that feeling that we're talking about, I don't know what it is. Chris is more sure of what it is than I am. You have to let go. There's this place where you have to let go and not think about, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail in front of these people. So taking photographs, playing music, chit-chatting it up on the internet. You have to be able to go, all right, I trust whatever it is that got me here. Yeah. Whatever it is I think I believe in this moment, there's no rattlesnakes, there's not a bear, there's no fire. So I'll get rid of whatever fear is building in me right now.
I think it's
and
love.
Just flow.
I think it's love. I think it's love of what it is that you're doing. I love it so much that I ultimately don't care what anyone thinks. I just love it. And so I feel like you love it. She loves it. And so again, I feel like it's either fear and love. We were talking about this earlier, that everything is derived from fear or love. Every action, every statement, anything. And so I think that love overrides the fear. And so when you get out there, for me, I'm on stage and there's a lot of people that I don't know and they're looking at me and whatnot. I just grab a guitar, and I've been playing this guitar since I was a little kid. Watching TV, just have it on, or playing it to my babies when they're sleeping, or, I've just been doing it so much, and I just love it. And so when you get to a point, with success, whatever you call success, and then maybe your dreams don't come the way you want, and now you're in this space, like, are you going to keep doing it? Yeah, why? Because I just love it. I wasn't doing it for fame. I wasn't doing it for money. I did it for the love.
And then you start getting rewarded. You start getting paid for it.
Because you stop chasing that stuff. And now, it's funny.
There's a lot of hearts coming, Chris. A lot of hearts.
Well, and then maybe that's what everyone's feeling it. I think for me, when I was in my 20s, I remember every year thinking that we're going to be on the Grammys next year, and it never happened because that's what I was chasing. And then, but that wasn't for the love of the music. That was for fame.
Can I ask you a question about manifesting your own destiny? Because I know sometimes, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you have said out loud before to me that you want to vocalize things that you want to happen, like these things you want to. So like the Grammys, you would say out loud, "You're going to see us in the Grammys. You're going to see us in the or Emmys or whatever, Grammys." Mm-hmm. But it doesn't happen. How does manifesting your future work then? If you were working so hard and you were visualizing being up there and accepting that Grammy, but it didn't happen, how do you reconcile that?
Okay. For that situation, I would say I wasn't necessarily ready, and not what you ask for. To say the intention behind it, it wasn't authentic. To make good music, you have to truly love it. To do anything really, really well, you have to love it. And I believe for me, I loved being quasi-famous. I loved the attention. I loved how it made me feel, instead of truly loving the music for what it's really intended for, to make other people feel good. And so I feel like, and when I was involved in a group, we were not of the same mind, which is why we broke up.
So if it's something doesn't happen, you go back into that space, sit and revisit and go, oh, I see my intentions were off now.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, again, if you're in a group situation, there's a theory to talk about leaning. Like you find people lean on, we all lean on the same thought, and then you're able to manifest it. We weren't all leaning in the same way. Everyone had their own agenda. And that means you got 5 people that, like, again, like strength in numbers, your group, we weren't together.
Because when it comes to manifesting the future and your future and stuff like that,
Let me say it like this. That's why you be very careful and mindful of who you tell certain your future to, like what your next moves are, because people can thwart that with their own thoughts and their own saying, because everyone has the same kind of powers in its own way. And so if I'm saying we're going to do this, and let's say this guy in the group doesn't like me and he is not with that, and let's say he's talking bad stuff to these people over here, it's not going to happen. So again, that's what I mean by I could look back and be like, okay, you got to be of like mind. But now that I've been by myself and playing by myself and for the music, and I have these children and they bring out this love, and I've let go of this fantasy and this idea of being whatever, suddenly everything's starting to come toward me because I'm not chasing it.
So I think there is something to that, and because when you say that, it doesn't resonate with me. When you say say it out loud. What you state your intentions out loud. To me, when I'm doing my thing, I see it as the exact opposite. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the way I see it. Is if once you say something out loud, you've already affected the universe behind you, and now whatever the process behind the secret and manifesting your own destiny, stuff like that, it has to now control for that, or it has to take that in, because you've now said it out loud, which means this person, because I go, hey man, I'm going to make it to the Grammy, I'm going to win the Super Bowl. Well, if this person, when I say that, registers like, man, I can see him winning the Super Bowl, and this person goes, man, I can see him winning the Super Bowl, man, I can, then I think, yes, you are getting more energy to go in that direction, but you don't know how it's going to register. So for me, all of those intentions that you've been talking about, I keep most 99%, 98% to myself, because I feel like as soon as I say them out loud, even if nobody's in the room, now this is getting a little crazy, then I've altered just something. I've affected the universe, and it has to be dealt with.
But and I'm not saying you're incorrect. I think there's intentions really do ring, and also, do you truly believe it? Some people can say, I love you, but maybe they're just trying to force themselves into loving someone, or trying to get someone to convince someone that they do, instead of it just really being pure. And so in the past, for me, when I've manifested things, like, we manifested this show, you and I manifested this years ago. For me, it's about being in alignment with my true spirit. I believe that everyone has, like, I've heard this from, Abraham Hicks. We all like this like vortex, like this, our little, like, it's a magic place. And so once you're really, the times where you're happy and it feels like everything's flowing well, you pull up and it's a parking spot right there for you, and you hit every single light, you're like, man, this is great. And person calls, I was just thinking about you. You're just in alignment. That's when they say, it's been said that you are able to manifest what you'd like. So that's when the moment when I'm speaking to existence, when I'm saying, okay, so perfect example, just an example that worked for me, because people like working examples. I remember I got a check in the mail, and I opened it up, and it was like, I don't know, $2,000 or something like that, right? And I was like, man, it felt great. And I said, you know what? This is what I'd like to see more happen more often. I want to thank the universe for giving me more money to coming through the mail, because it feels so good. And with that money, I'm going to do great things for it and be able to see kids and help kids. So that manifested, and now suddenly I just wrote the song with Chase. And we'll see what happens with that song. Everyone's really excited about it, but wouldn't it be interesting if that's how that manifested? So again, find yourself in a very happy place and then speak it.
That's also where I was thinking about this a lot back when you were talking, when you first were getting together with Chase Rice, and you guys sat down and hammered out that song, and and you were saying, this is going to be this is going to be this. And also I'm sitting there in my head going, don't say it. Just keep visualizing it in your head. Quit saying it out loud, because if you say it around the wrong people, and they're gonna take that energy and go, no, you're not, Mike. Right. Boom, and then you have to overcome that again.
Yes, and then the other side of it is, it's once it's already done and it's made, then I spoke about it. So it was like no one can actually get in the way of it. It's made, it's done. Like Chase came, I came, John came, Holy Trinity. It's been made, it's been put out there, and now it doesn't matter what anyone says at this point. It's done. So it's just going to run its thing. There's a difference of timing of when to say something. But again, it's best to not really talk about too much. It's just like before James came, James Golden, one of my kind of father figures. We didn't talk about it. Everyone knew what was going on. We didn't say it on the show until after it was complete. We knew it was going to happen. Okay, by the way, now we have this meeting and boom. And then that's going to turn to what it's going to be. We all know what's been said. Again, we haven't talked about it, but we know there's some things really happening. We haven't spoken about it. We'll speak about it when the time is right.
All right.
So don't brag. It's not about bragging. It's about, again, just speaking positive things into the universe, into your universe.
All right. So a couple of comments before we move on. First, Natalie says, I think that means you're lacking faith. I could see that. You're right. Where you're visualizing yourself, let's say we'll go with Chris's example of being up on stage at the Grammys, and you don't quite get there.
Yeah.
Maybe that's when you go back and go, I didn't get there, and you're right, Nat. Or you could be right.
I think she's right, because I remember those times saying it, and in the back of my head being like, but these guys really got my back? Boom.
There you
lacking
go. Yep,
faith.
that's evidence right there. Brett says, you tell yourself it hasn't happened yet. I agree with Chris 100% from Brett. Steve, Eric Thomas says, when you want to succeed as bad as you
want to breathe, then you will have succeeded. Come on, man. I go to E.T. I love E.T. I'm telling you, that's my guy. A-game.
And
A-game. I ain't got a B-game. I ain't got a C-game. I'm doing stuff. People are depending on me. I'm not come from privilege. All I do is, oh, man, Eric Thomas, check him out. A-game, B-game was great.
And let's see here. What was the other one? There was one more. Oh, my nephew plays for Tennessee Tech, and yesterday they lost to Texas and are out, but the NCAA tournament has been so much fun to follow. I guess when you were going back talking about the Gainesville and how the Gators did. All right.
So I was having a conversation with Natalie, actually. We're talking about J.R. Smith. Everyone knows that in game one, J.R. dribbled out. He was a foot away from the basket, probably could have made it. And it's amazing how life would have gone completely this way, but it went that way. So imagine if, sometimes you just ask yourself, you ever have a moment where you don't know why you did something or why you said something or why something didn't happen? Like what if Michael Jordan hadn't hit that shot over the Cavs, like that kind of thing. So imagine if JR, what if he was supposed to do that? Because now let's say LeBron does leave. We'll see what the future will unfold. But if he had stayed, let's say they won game one, let's say they actually had beaten the Warriors, maybe LeBron stays in Cleveland, and you just don't, a chain of events you just don't really know. So sometimes the pawns, I still believe that sometimes we make actions where the invisible hand moves us around sometimes to make things go a certain way. Well, I don't know, just something to think about, like on the weird. Why? Well, maybe there's another reason that we don't know why, and we just have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm. All right, sir. You ready to get back on the hop over in the our very soundproofed acoustic corner? Get you all situated there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 12:30ish. 11:30-ish to 12:30-ish. We really appreciate it. You guys need to get back to work, I guess, I would imagine. But before you get back to work or head off to lunch, whatever you're doing, here's some music from Mr. Chris McCarty.
Decided to play this song because I've run across 6 people in the last week that are having some serious issues with their relationships. So, hope you guys like it. Had a lot of crooks try to steal your heart. Never really had luck. Never figure out how to love. How to love. You had a lot of moments that didn't last forever. Now you're in this corner trying to put it together. How to love. How to love. For a second you was here, now you over there. It's hard not to stare when you're moving your body like you've never had a love. How to love. When you were just a young and your looks were so impressive, but now you grow up so fly, it's like a blessing. But you can have a man look at you for 5 seconds out you being insecure. You never credit yourself when you got older. Seemed like you came back 10 times over, but you're sitting there in this damn corner, looking over yourself and looking over your shoulder. Had a lot of crooks trying to steal your heart. Never really had love. Never figure out how to love. How to love. You had a lot of moments, didn't last forever. Now you in this corner trying to put it together. How to love. How to love. You had a lot of dreams, transformed the vision. That you see the world affected your decision, but it wasn't your fault, wasn't in your intention. You don't want it talking to me, don't want to listen, but I admire Bobby Bottles and Vivian just as much as you admire Biden and it's tripping, baby. Don't be mad, nobody else tripping. You've seen a lot of crooks and them crooks still broke. Had a lot of crooks trying to steal your heart. Never really had luck, never figure out how to love. How to love. You had a lot of moments, didn't last forever. Now you in this corner trying to put it together. How to love. How to love. I just want you to know you deserve the best. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. And I want you to know you're far from the usual. Oh, oh. You had a lot of crooks trying to steal your arm. Never really had love. Never figure out how to love. How to love. You had a lot of moments, didn't last forever. Now you in this corner trying to put it together. How to love. How to love.
The Wake.Show, Monday through Friday, 11:30 to 12:30. I'm Chris Fisher, along with Chris McCarty. Let's get, there we go. Here, there we go. Tell me about that song, by the way. Good song.
That's Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne?
Yeah, man.
No kidding.
No, it's a really good song. I don't know. I ran into this woman when I was playing it on Sunday in Dunedin, and she, she's a very attractive woman, and she just was. I guess she's dealing with a man who's in prison, and it was just like she just she just can't let it go, and it was like and then I can tell she, we talked a little bit, and she had some issues with her mom and issues with dad, like a lot of us do, and it's interesting how we just don't know how beautiful we truly are and how worthy we are, and that you were made from something amazing, and you're here, and out of all the millennia and all the things have gone on, like you are here. The chances of you being here are so small, and being born to the parents that you're born to, and we think that's like an accident, and it's not. And so I just felt like after that, and then I was on the way here and I saw someone else wrote something on Facebook like the worst thing you can do is when you don't feel like you're good enough, and they were referring to a breakup, and so it's just like, man, we forget how amazing we are, and we got to find a way to truly love ourselves, and and I think it is all of us coming together and telling each other that you're beautiful, you're perfect, you know. And like one thing I have my kids say sometimes, like, I'm perfect. I want them to know they're perfect, not in an arrogant way, but just so they don't feel less than, you know. Yeah. So that's why it just kind of made sense to play that song. So.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the Wake.Show, everybody. Thank you, Chris McCarty. Are you gigging tonight?
I am off for a week, and so today I get to spend time with the babies, and then I'm actually going to be working on some new music. I'm the new band we played. Thanks for coming, by the way. It was awesome. The new band that I'm playing with. Man, the
talented guys,
so good.
I can tell. All right, you know me. You know me. We go back. We go way back. I've been watching people play music for a long time. I can tell it's a very talented group of guys, but I also can tell that you guys need to do some more stuff together.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the fact that we got together, and they live in Orlando. The fact that we got together and how we were all didn't want to stop practicing. We just had to go, play. That was a testament to what the future holds. I mean, everyone's sitting again, leaning like, hey.
How many songs do you do, or how many songs in your repertoire are you harmonizing with the drummer? Because that sounded really good.
We've never practiced that. That was, and I'm not bragging. I'm talking about how sometimes things are just amazing and they fit well.
Well, that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, and so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give them, 10 original songs. And the talk is, let's try to see what we can do. Now that I've been playing a lot of cover songs for the most part, because that's what it is. But I've missed that element of who I am, and so to have a group of guys who, with the musicality, I mean, they can pick up anything so fast. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see what we can come up with. So we're going to do 10 new songs and, record downstairs and see what we come up with.
Nice.
Yeah. But so next time we play, mark your calendar, but July 28th, we'll be at the Hard Rock, 7 o'clock, so it won't be crazy
Oh,
late.
thank you.
Yeah, I know, dude. You don't understand. We're like, can we go home, dude? Yeah.
They went on at 11 on Saturday night.
So late.
I already went to bed, had 8 hours sleep,
right,
and got back up to go.
Oh,
Jeez.
man. So next time it'll be 7 o'clock. But I tell you guys, I've been playing music, and I played with a lot of guys. I have never been this excited to play music. Man, just come and see us.
All right.
Yeah.
And if you guys are out at in St. Pete Beach, that'll be that'll be on St. Pete Beach. What the heck did I just do to myself? Split screen with myself. Let's try this. Here we go. You can join me tonight out at St. Pete Beach at Boulevard Burgers starting at 7 o'clock for trivia night. I thought we were going to fall off for the summer, like it was going to really slow down. But last week we had 20 teams. The week before that, like 22 teams or something like that. So it's still hopping on Tuesday nights if you want to come out to the beach and get you out of there by 8:45, 9 o'clock so you can head off somewhere else. And then tomorrow night, I'll see you out at karaoke, downtown St. Pete Park and Rec, and Thursday night, back out of St. Pete Beach Masteries for trivia starting at 7 o'clock. All right. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for the love and the support, and we will do this again tomorrow.